Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled The Ravaging of the Nation of South Africa. Now, I lived in South Africa since childhood and experienced many years of what has occurred there as a result of the change from a white government, which was judged to be repressive and racist, to one which is almost completely black and yet much more repressive and unfriendly toward its people, to such an extent that it is mainly the poorest black people that have ended up suffering the most for many years. However, nowadays I believe that the suffering of white farmers has increased to such a level that these must be the most suffering people of South Africa, as these people seem to be the target of government-sponsored, extremely violent crime. These white farmers are also those people who feed the nation. Without them, all food would have to be imported and food prices would skyrocket, thus causing even more suffering for the poorest of the land. But how was the pillaging of this once extremely prosperous nation started? Once they came into power, the new ANC government, which has remained in power until now, came up with minimum wage and a whole disciplinary procedure employers have to follow in order to be able to fire someone from their job. Thus, people can only be fired after getting 3 warnings within a set amount of time. This made it very difficult to fire someone, even if they were stealing and underperforming. So the result was that businesses avoided hiring people, which led to huge unemployment and crime. When they could not avoid hiring people, the new standards led to low productivity and service. And on this map, we see where South Africa is. It is the country at the bottom tip of Africa. The new government also changed the educational system to what is called outcomes-based education, where the responsibility for learning no longer lies with the learner, but rather with the teacher. The teachers have to make sure there is some learning without causing much discomfort for the student. This means that mediocrity is encouraged and learners pass without really learning basic things like reading and writing. Teachers make sure the students learn the minimum which they are planning on asking them in a test later on by giving them or getting them to fill in quiz sheets. These are sheets where the same task or question is asked several times in different ways, so that by the time the student has finished filling in the quiz sheet, most of the material has somehow entered their brains. However, this has created a whole generation that does not know how to work hard or learn material from written notes. They are often unable to memorize anything on purpose and have no idea how to go about doing that. This leads to a disastrous first year at university for many students. But the worst part of outcomes-based education is that the students are encouraged to think that all questions and problems have many different and often opposing but still valid solutions, even in maths and physics, and that any of these different solutions will be equally useful. In other words, they are purposely taught not to expect there to be one standard and one correct way of doing things, which means that they cannot clearly think through a problem and get to the most valid conclusion, and are thus unable to do any real problem solving. This has created a workforce which in general has no work ethic and no ability to solve problems in their day-to-day interactions in their work environment. And you can see it and experience it often when you visit stores and companies in South Africa. Now in this picture we see a view from South Africa. It's from the eastern part of the country. Actually I think it may be from the southern and possibly even western part of the country. I think it is the Cape. And as you can see, it's a beautiful view. This is a beautiful country, and this country has breathtaking beaches, mountains, and wildlife reserves filled with amazing animals: lion, cheetah, leopard, elephant, giraffe, zebra. Amazing animals. Now, those children that have been fortunate enough to be taught by their parents to work hard and think clearly, and these are mostly children with white, Indian, and colored parents, although they're all also black parents nowadays that also do this great service for their children, have a great advantage. But the government got around that by demanding that employers hire job applicants from mostly the black population, which is the majority. And it goes like this: when you review all the job applicants, if there is one black job applicant who is judged to be able to do the job, then he must be hired ahead of any job applicants from the other races, even if they are all better qualified than the black applicant. This has the effect of further encouraging mediocrity and low productivity in all sectors of the society, and in addition leaving black people in high positions feeling inferior and disempowered, because after all, it is not really their qualifications or abilities that have been likely to get them to that position, but simply the color of their skin. Then there is the fact that the police force has been made totally ineffectual by bypassing people with a work ethic and motivation for promotion, and also making their lives difficult so that they choose to leave. Thus, most of these people move to the private security industry, which is thriving as a result of the very high crime rate. In addition, police training has been severely reduced so that, for example, police or traffic police officers do not know how to direct traffic anymore, and private insurance companies train and employ their own teams to perform that service whenever there is a power failure and the traffic signs are not working. The power failures are extremely frequent because the power infrastructure is owned by the government, who then place people from their political party in managing positions. And these managers decided that getting huge bonuses for many years was much more important than maintaining and growing the power infrastructure. The lack of power has led to a curtailment of economic growth and thus the generation of jobs as well. Then there is the fact that hospitals, which during the previous white government were well equipped and gave all racial groups world-class health care for a very tiny amount of money, have been just about completely destroyed. These hospitals now have no equipment and are filthy and often have elevators that do not work ever again. The equipment was stolen by the staff. No one tells anyone else what to do, so no one cleans. And there is no money to fix elevators because the money has been stolen at some level of government. So the people have no public hospitals. And whatever care there is from nursing staff is usually without any respect or caring attitude toward the patients. The nursing care is so bad that even private hospitals are afflicted by the disdainful and uncaring attitude of many nursing staff. Doctors are often caring, but they cannot be around all the time. And it is the poorest people in the society which are most affected by what this new government has done, as most no longer can find unskilled jobs. They have no hospitals or decent education for their children. In conclusion, the nation of South Africa has been ransacked by the new government and is another case of a nation that has been conquered through governmental change, and illustrates what one expects to see when the white horse rides after seal 1 of Revelation 6 is opened. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.